So at Apple's Let Loose event, Apple announced a brand new iPad Air alongside their new iPad Pros. And with the new iPad Pros, we got a Magic Keyboard as well as a brand new Apple Pencil Pro. And if you guys want to see a full recap of what happened at the Let Loose event, I'll leave a card up here for you guys to check out that video, and I'll also leave it linked down below. But what I wanted to do in this video is talk about that Apple Pencil Pro, but more importantly, the Apple Pencil lineup in totality, because now if you look at the Apple Pencil lineup in that product category, in my opinion, it's the most confusing product category that we have, and that's saying something because we now have 48 different variations of iPads that we can choose from, so that product category is confusing unto itself, but the Apple Pencil category is also in a very strange situation. So in this video, what I want to do is break down every Apple Pencil that we have, what they're compatible with, what kind of feature sets they have, so you can make an informed decision on which Apple Pencil is the Apple Pencil for you and which one will most benefit you. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. So let's start off with the Apple Pencil Gen 1, and we're starting off with this one because it is the oldest one in the lineup, and surprisingly, it's been on the Apple App Store for 9 years now at this point. It released back in November of 2015, and it came with the original iPad Pro. So with this Apple Pencil First Gen, in the box you do get everything that you would need. So you get the Apple Pencil itself, you get a pencil tip, you also get the Lightning to USB-C converter to be able to charge this Apple Pencil with other USB-C enabled iPads, which are now the only iPads left in the lineup. And then you also get a Lightning adapter. So the Apple Pencil Gen 1 is what I would consider the least capable and the most awkward Apple Pencil that Apple currently offers, because of first is the way that it charges. So if you have a Lightning enabled iPad, and I'm going to leave the compatibility list here to my right hand side so that you guys know which Apple Pencil or which Apple iPad this Apple Pencil will work with. But basically the way that you would charge it is you take off the cap itself, and that itself has a Lightning kind of end, and then you plug that into the Lightning port of an iPad that has a Lightning port to begin with, which again, Apple no longer sells any brand new iPads with Lightning ports as of the Let Loose event, because Apple has fully discontinued their 9th generation iPad and lowered the price of their 10th generation iPad. So of course when they released the iPad 10th generation that had USB-C, Apple thought about this, so that's why they included the converters. So you actually plug in the Apple Pencil Gen 1 into this little converter, and then you can plug a USB-C cable into it. But again, it's a very strange charging situation for this Apple Pencil. It doesn't charge via magnets, it's perfectly circular, so it rolls off tables really easily. There's nowhere to put it on the iPads that it does support. So the Apple Pencil Gen 1 is probably the weirdest one, and not only is it that, but then also it's not even the cheapest one that Apple offers, because it still retails for $99. So as I said, it's compatible with the iPad Mini 5 as well as the iPad 6th generation all the way to the 9th generation. It's also compatible with the older iPad Pro models like the ones from 2015 to 2017. And then of course it is compatible with the USB-C version iPad 10th generation, because that is what Apple was first selling it towards when it came out, I think about a year or year and a half ago. So that is the Apple Pencil Gen 1. And then in terms of functionality and features, it does give you pretty much the big four of what you would need from an Apple Pencil, which is you get pixel perfect precision, you get low latency, you get the tilt sensitivity, and then you also get the pressure sensitivity. So being able to push down on the pen itself to get a bigger watermark, or being able to tilt it to get a thicker marker, all those things are going to be capable with this Apple Pencil Gen 1. But again, $99 for an almost 10-year-old Apple Pencil that charges really weirdly, but it's still in the lineup and it still supports like older devices. Apple's probably going to drop this one off relatively soon in my opinion, but it still is available. That's why it still makes it extremely confusing, because this one is still $100. So now let's gravitate to the Apple Pencil 2. This one might be the easiest one to explain because of its compatibility. So basically, if your iPad has the new design language and your iPad doesn't have a home button, the only one that's omitted out of this is the iPad 10th generation, but all the other iPads, so the iPad Mini 6th generation, the iPad Air 4th generation, all the new iPad Pros that have the new design language from the 2018 and newer ones, all these are compatible with the Apple Pencil 2 because it charges magnetically and wirelessly on the landscape top side of your iPad Pro or any iPad that does have that form factor. So Apple finally got rid of that weird charging situation that the Gen 1 had. It works way better, and they added a bunch of new features as well. So in terms of the feature set, you still have those big four like I mentioned, the low latency, the picture perfect precision, tilt, and pressure sensitivity. But like I said, it does attach magnetically, it does have wireless pairing and charging. That pencil itself supports Apple Pencil Hover, but only the M2 iPad Pro supports Apple Pencil Hover, so another thing for you to take a note of. It also has the double tap to change tools, so it basically has that shortcut that allows you to double tap on the actual pencil itself, which the Gen 1 Apple Pencil did not have whatsoever, so you do have a little bit extra functionality in there with the Apple Pencil Gen 2. And then finally, it does give you free engraving, which is something that the Apple Pencil Gen 1 does not have. So That is what you get from a feature set standpoint. So it works relatively the same across all those iPads that I mentioned, except for the actual iPad 10 generation. So again, this is kind of confusing how Apple's justifying having all these different Apple Pencils. But if you're picking up a new M4 iPad Pro, it looks like the Apple Pencil 2 is not going to be compatible with the newest M4 iPad Pro. If you currently have an Apple Pencil 2 and you're trying to save some money by not getting the Apple Pencil Pro, then unfortunately, according to the compatibility list, and of course we're going to test this out, but according to the compatibility list, the Apple Pencil 2 will not work with the new M4 iPad Pros, but that is what you get out of the Apple Pencil Gen 2, and it does retail from Apple directly at $129, but on Amazon you can find these brand new for, $100, $90, even $80 I've seen them before. So definitely take a look there, and I'll leave some links down below for you guys to check out. So now let's talk about Apple Pencil USB-C, which is what Apple's calling this one. Now, technically this one's going to be the easiest one to understand in terms of what it's compatible with, because it is compatible with any iPad, including the iPad 10th generation, all the way to the brand new M4 iPad Pros. So as long as it has the new design language, it doesn't have a home button, the Apple Pencil USB-C will work with these iPads. Now, there's a couple caveats because this is the cheapest Apple Pencil that Apple offers at $79. So yes, it does attach magnetically to these iPads, but it doesn't charge or pair that way. The way that you charge and pair it is that it does have a little door that opens up where you plug in an actual USB-C cable to charge this thing up. So again, kind of a weird charging situation, but at least the cap doesn't come all the way off like the cap on the first gen Apple Pencil does, and I remember people losing that cap over and over again, but that is something to take into consideration, where you kind of get most of the features of the Apple Pencil 2 in this Apple Pencil USB-C. It's relatively the same form factor. I believe it's a tiny bit shorter when it is fully closed, but again, nothing to write home about. But it works with the iPad mini, the iPad Air 4th generation and newer. Like I said, it works with the M4 iPad Pros, with the M2 iPad Air. It works with any iPad Pro from 2018 and newer. So this one is going to be the one that has the most versatility in terms of compatibility. But you are losing a couple of features when it comes to the feature set, because you are spending about $50 less for the USB-C Apple Pencil. So as I mentioned, it doesn't charge or pair magnetically like the Apple Pencil 2 does, but it does give you some of the other ones like I mentioned, so you still get your pixel perfect precision, your low latency, your tilt sensitivity, but you don't get pressure sensitivity. So what that means is that if you're a designer that uses pressure to kind of open up whatever tool you have, so if you're somebody that just uses your iPad as a note-taking machine, then this is going to be more than enough for that use case. But if you're an artist, this one is not going to be the one for you. But interestingly enough, it does support hover for the iPads that support hover. So on the M2 iPad Pro, as well as the M4 iPad Pros, and I believe now the M2 iPad Airs, the Apple Pencil USB-C will support hover. So again, one of those features that we thought was a little bit more advanced is still working on the cheaper Apple Pencil, which again makes things a little bit confusing. And then lastly, in the box, you literally just get the Apple Pencil, no alternative tips, no charging cables, nothing. And same thing goes for the Apple Pencil 2. The only one that brings an additional tip and then the converters is going to be the Apple Pencil Gen 1. So that is the Apple Pencil USB-C. It works with any iPad that has a new form factor, because all that the form factor is relying on is the fact that it attaches magnetically. It just doesn't charge or pair that way. And finally, let's talk about Apple's newest addition to this lineup, which is going to be the Apple Pencil Pro. Now, the Apple Pencil Pro should set itself apart from a feature list standpoint, because it's the first real change that we've seen to the features in a very long time to the Apple Pencil and the Apple Pencil Pro. So first and foremost, let's talk about price, and that's what makes it confusing in this lineup, because it is also $129 retail, which is the same price as the Apple Pencil 2. But in terms of compatibility, the Apple Pencil Pro only works with the new M4 iPad Pros as well as the new M2 iPad Airs. So it does not work with any of the older iPad Pros, and I believe that's because of how it's charging and where the actual camera is on the new iPad Pros and the new iPad Airs. So the mechanism to charge it is probably a little bit different, and that's why it's not a perfect one-to-one, and they aren't able to actually port it over and use it with the M2 or the M1 or the 2018 iPad Pros. But I believe the form factor is identical, and then in terms of what you get actually new with this Apple Pencil Pro, the first thing you get is going to be Find My support. So it's going to show up in your Find My app, and I know many people lose their Apple Pencil, so this is a great little feature that was added. But then you also get a bunch of new actual features inside of the Apple Pencil. Firstly, it's going to be a haptic engine. So the haptic engine that's been beloved in Apple products, like on the iPhone, is now coming over to the Apple Pencil. And when you want to mimic something like resistance or something along those lines, if you are drawing on the iPad itself. So I think the haptic engine is going to be a great little addition to the Apple Pencil. And you also get a gyroscope built in there for the first time. So as you tilt and move and kind of rotate, it's going to actually rotate in the same way if you are using an app like Procreate or maybe Affinity Photo or the Notes application. So if you're using maybe a highlighter tip, if you hold it one way, it's going to be thicker. If you kind of rotate it and hold it another way, it'll be a thinner line. And I think that's what the idea is here. And of course, you still get your pressure and your tilt sensitivity, all the stuff that you expect out of the latest and greatest Apple Pencil. And then finally, you get the ability to now have a new shortcut, which is a squeeze gesture. Now, just because we're getting the squeeze gesture built into here, it doesn't mean that they're omitting the double tap feature. According to the website, Apple is keeping the double tap feature as a normal way to actually interact with it, and the squeeze gesture is just a new way to interact with the Apple Pencil, but that's going to be opened up to all third-party developers, so if they want to create toolkits and be able to create their own customized shortcuts, that's going to be up to the developers to really take advantage of this new squeeze gestures. So the Apple Pencil Pro added a few features which are welcome additions, like I mentioned, the gyroscope, the squeeze gesture, the Find My support, as well as keeping things like the hover feature and being able to charge, pair, and hold on and attach magnetically to your iPad. So that is the entire lineup of the Apple Pencils. I know it's a little bit confusing, and even after making this video, it still is a little confusing. Like, I don't understand why anybody would get the Apple Pencil Gen 1 over, let's say, the Apple Pencil USB-C, unless they really need the tilt sensitivity from the Apple Pencil Gen 1 and they have an iPad 10th generation. It's just a very niche use case. For most people, my recommendation is going to get the USB-C one because it does give you everything that you would need, whether you have an older or a newer iPad, and if you have a newer iPad, it takes advantage of most of those features. And again, if you do need the actual tilt sensitivity, then yes, you're going to have to ante up a little bit more to get the Apple Pencil 2. And if you're using one of the newer iPads that were just announced, then yeah, you're going to have to get yourself an Apple Pencil Pro. So that is the roundup. Hopefully that helps you guys make a decision on what to get, and now you are aware of what's available, what feature sets are around, and what's compatible with your iPad overall. But that's going to do it for this video, everybody. If this was helpful, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so that I know that you made it to the end as well. And leave some comments down below about what you think about the new iPads, the new Apple Pencil Pro, and then the new Magic Keyboard as well. But that's going to do it. If you guys want to watch more videos like this one, click on one of these right here. And until next time, I'm Fernando, and I'm out of here, everybody. Peace.